for the Africa region, and also the director for the International High-Level Panel Secretariat, which is hosted by our organization in South Africa in Pretoria on behalf of the African Union. And I represent here one of the co-chairs, the alternate co-chair of the International High-Level Panel, who is also the chair of our board, His Excellency Jakaya Kikwete, the former president of the United Republic of Tanzania. So welcome to this high-level session, to which I'm going to be your moderator, and thank you very much on behalf of the high-level panel, as well as the African Union, for accepting the invitation. We realize that this is a very difficult time, very challenging time, right at the 11th hour when a lot of details are being worked out on the outcome of the COP28 negotiations, but you've made time to be able to come here. Special apologies from the African Union. They are not able to make it right now because of the same challenges, but we hope maybe before the end of the session we can have representation. Distinguished ladies, we also have, and gentlemen, we have online. So this event is being broadcast online. So we have an online audience. On the 2nd of December, during the leaders segment, at a side event hosted by the African Union Commission at the Africa Pavilion, the AU, together with the high-level panel, launched the investment plan of the high-level panel for Africa. And the investment plan was prepared at the initiative of the International High-Level Panel, which was launched by the former president, the president of Senegal, His Excellency Macky Sall, during the World Water Forum. They set up a panel of heads of states with the one objective: to mobilize and find resources for implementing priority investment projects for Africa on water climate resilience, and support the implementation of an initiative called the Continental Africa Water Investment Program, AIP, which is also a program that was adopted by the heads of state during the Africa Union Summit in February in Addis Ababa. So the high-level panel was established with the mandate of helping to mobilize and find where the resources can be, because many countries are struggling to find the resources, but also to bring visibility and attention to this issue of water and the large investment gap. At least $30 billion is estimated that is required to be mobilized by 2030 for African countries to address SDG-related targets. So the panel did two things. It was launched World Water Forum 2022, inaugurated at COP27 in Sharm el-Sheikh, hosted by the Republic of Egypt. As you know, water was a big thing. So the panel was inaugurated in Sharm el-Sheikh, and they produced a report in March, which was launched at the UN Water Conference, to where to find the money, the 30 billion. And now they said, okay, so we know where the money can come from. Now, where should the money go? So now they have launched an investment plan. So this ministerial session is very significant, and it is organized in that context because the leaders have provided the leadership. Now we are beginning to go into the implementation. And as part of the investment plan, the African Union requested African countries to prioritize projects that they would like to be championed for implementation and also mobilization of resources. I'm happy to say, as was announced by the high-level panel, 53 projects were received from African countries, and they've been included in the investment plan to be promoted, and there will be many more opportunities that will be provided for countries to provide the opportunity for them to indicate their priorities, but the high-level panel to assist in the mobilization of resources, not just from the climate finance, but from the different financing sources, including official development assistance, development banks, institutional investors, the private sector. And a core message of the investment plan, as well as the high-level panel report, is that at least 90% of resources can be mobilized from domestic sources, which is a very different message, Your Excellencies, from what we've been seeing or getting all along. at least 90% of resources are available domestically, but there are many things that need to be done to be able to unlock that financing. Up to $10 billion can be mobilized from institutional investors in the private sector, pension funds, sovereign funds. But we know that countries are not accessing that. Many countries. There are a number of things that need to happen to mobilize that, including reforms that are needed, tariffs, and also coordination and better efficiency and governance. So that's a significant message, but I will not go into those details because the report is there, available. I also have copies here. You can scan it, download it, and also go into the details. So this session, the ministerial session, is going to look at the specific cases of countries in terms of how do we move forward the implementation, what are the kind of priorities, and also what is already going on in the countries. Because the panel also found out that 60% of resources that go into water come from national governments, African governments. A very important message as well, 60% comes from national governments, which means the governments are doing a lot already. And it's not like African governments are not prioritizing. They are prioritizing. There is a high-level panel with heads of states at the African Union from the Treasury into water. They are prioritizing, but they still have a number of challenges. So we are going to hear in this high-level session some cases from specific countries, and we've invited the president of the African Ministers' Council on Water, AMCO. I met the minister. He's been here until I think yesterday. That unfortunately he's not able to join us, but he has sent high-level officials to give the Pan-African context on behalf of the African Ministers' Council, who is going to speak. And then we are going to introduce the other honorable ministers from Morocco and Somalia who are present with us. We are very pleased that you are here to give their perspective. And then we'll have specific case studies from the Republic of South Africa, who are also here, the United Republic of Tanzania. And we also try to say, look, Africa is not just looking at Africa themselves. How about the rest of the world? So we invited the presidents of the COP, UAE, to join us, as well as Central America, the vice minister from Honduras. We know the COP presidents are not going to make it. It's just too close. They are quite tied up now. But we're hoping that Honduras from Central America would be able to join us to share their experiences as well. So for now, to kick off the session, Your Excellencies, let me request our IT delegates to play a video which is a summary of what was launched on the 2nd of December, summarizing the high-level panel investment plan. If you can kindly increase the volume so that we can beat the competition next door. There's a bit of noise. But also for our online viewers. Please go ahead and play the video. Thank you. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, our online participants and audience, that is a summary of the high-level panel report. And as you saw, over 90% of domestic resources can be mobilized from within the continent, from within countries. And also another key message before I invite the President of the African Ministers' Council on Water is the fact that we always hear that there are no bankable projects. We've heard that many, many times. Even here, there are no bankable projects. There are no projects, actually. It's difficult to find projects. This exercise has shown that the projects are there. 53 projects within a short period of time from countries, some of them already with partial funding from governments. Some of them are with already feasibility studies and some commitments. The projects are there. The money is there. What is missing is this connection between the projects as well as the financing sources, a matchmaking process that is required within countries, sub-regional level, as well as the continental level, and as well as the implementation capacity. With that, I'm very honored to invite the chair of the AMCO Technical Advisory Committee representing the Minister, Dr. Tahin. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Alex. Thank you very much, Mr. Alex, for the introduction. And Your Excellencies, dear participants, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like first to convey all the greetings from His Excellency Professor Hani Swalem. He wanted very much to be among us now, but unfortunately he had some urgent commitments which obliged him to go back to Cairo. So on behalf of His Excellency, I'm going to say a few words. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, 1 week ago, here in Dubai, I was honored to participate in the launching of the high-level panel investment action plan of this very important Africa Water Investment Program, aiming to mobilize $30 billion per year for implementing a sustainable climate resilience and bankable investment in the water and sanitation sector in Africa. I would like to seize the occasion to applaud the great effort and sincere commitment of AIP leaders and very capable secretariat for the huge success achieved in promoting for AIP and engaging so far more than 19 African countries to submit 53 projects with a combined investment value of $27 billion, in addition to $9 billion from 15 transboundary PIDA projects. Investment opportunities in the water sector in Africa are huge, and so our water challenges as well. While Africa is one of the richest continents in water resources, we suffer from poor management, leading to immense shortfalls in achieving SDGs by 2030. As concluded from our WASMO report system, indicating that over 400 million Africans have inadequate access to safe drinking water and nearly double that number when it comes to no access to good sanitation. A key factor in these statistics is inadequacy of funding to the water and sanitation sector to support mutually agreed relevant water-wise mitigation and adaptation solutions to improve Africa's water and climate resilience and minimize water-related disaster risk. In this context, Egypt has contributed to the submission of AIP project proposal with a number of national, trans-regional, and continental projects, aiming not only to mind the national gap in water investment to overcome the water scarcity and climate change impact challenges that the country severely faces, but also to mind the continental knowledge gap, especially in water and climate adaptation, by submitting a project on strengthening the Pan-African Center for Water and Climate Adaptation, PACWA. This center is the first low-hanging fruit from the the Action on Water Adaptation and Resilience Initiative, AWARE, launched in COP27 in Sharm el-Sheikh. It was inaugurated by almost 40 African ministers and deputy ministers on the sidelines of AMCAO 13th General Assembly held in Cairo in June 2023. And since then, and even before, it has contributed to the capacity building of hundreds of African water professionals. These Pan-African centers need not only strengthening in its infrastructure to fulfill its mandate at the optimum level, it also needs technical support to provide the high-quality training service in the field of climate adaptation in the water sector. Moreover, under the leadership of President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, through the Presidential Infrastructure Champion Initiative, and with the coordination and support of COMESA, Egypt is championing an important trans-regional priority PIDA project called the establishment of a navigation line between Lake Victoria and the Mediterranean Sea, or in short, VICMED. This very promising project aims to connect footprint countries via a relatively low-cost natural transport route that is safe, secure, energy efficient, and capable of moving various types and volumes of goods and cargo through a navigation line or multimodal transport. This will eventually facilitate trade and tourism among footprint countries and the rest of the world, especially supporting landlocked countries to access other international seas and ports, leading to the reinforcement of regions' position within the global economic system and allowing more cooperation and regional integration to support economic development in Africa. This project is in the feasibility study phase, and thanks to the support of the African Development Bank and NEPAD IPPF, we have achieved some important milestones in that project. Finally, I am full of hope that this ambitious program contributes to close the investment gap in the water sector in Africa, to move quickly towards achieving our development objectives, and I encourage all African countries to submit their project proposal in the upcoming phase. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tahini, on behalf of the AMCO president, for that message of also congratulations, and also in terms of the important projects, and also your confirmation of the projects that have been submitted from Egypt. Within the Africa Water Investment Program and within the investment plan, the high-level panel have been preparing their report. But the African Union have been very clear to say, while this is happening, let us make sure that we have concrete actions on the ground. Under the leadership of Morocco, with support from the African Union, a number of countries are now in a very advanced process of accessing finance to implement and develop climate resilience investment programs. The Kingdom of Morocco was nominated by the countries to be the leader in this process, and we are very pleased to announce that we have had meetings here with the African Union Commission and the Green Climate Fund and other partners, that this process is quite advanced. And with that, it is my honor to invite Honorable Niz Barak, the Minister of Hydraulics and Sanitation from the Kingdom of Morocco, to deliver the statement. Thank you.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I'm particularly honored to be here with you today to participate to this session dedicated to present and debate around national challenges and opportunities for accelerating climate-resilient water investment. And also it's a pleasure for me to share with you the experience of my country, Morocco, regarding resilient solutions to the climate change impact and socioeconomic development. As you know, no region of the world is safe from climate change and its impact on water resources. However, some regions are more vulnerable than others. I'm, of course, talking about Africa and also the MENA region. And Morocco is one of the countries who is facing now scarcity, and also is one of the countries more impacted by the climate change. And to face all these challenges, we have now a new policy, have been decided by His Majesty the King, and he presented in the Parliament on the 14th of October 2022. And it's important to note that we emphasize on, first of all, the diversification of the water supply development through the strengthening and accelerating the mobilization of conventional but also non-conventional water. We have also the management of the demand, the water demand management through the projects of, and we have one program who is a program dedicated to water supply and also to irrigation until 2027. And we mobilize for it 40 billion US dollar to realize this program. And it's important to know that we have 3 pillars. First, to accelerate the conventional water resource mobilization through dams construction. You have to know that here in Morocco we have now 155 dams with the capacity of mobilization of 20 billion cubic meters. And we are now building 18 new big dams, and the goal is to reach 27 billion cubic meters by 2030. At the same time, we are working also on rainwater collection, and we just begin a very big program of interbasin transfer project. The goal is the water who go to the seas, we have to take it, the surplus, to take it and to transfer it to the region we need water. And we did it between the region of Sbou and the region of Bourgreg. And thanks to that, we are transferring 1 million cubic meters a day. And it will be very helpful for 12 million persons living between Rabat and Casablanca to guarantee for them drinking water. Second important pillar is the development of non-conventional water resource. And now I have to say that we are doing important thing. We are doing an equilibrium between the conventional and non-conventional water. The goal is to move from 140 million cubic meters on desalination water to 1 billion and 500 million cubic meters by 2030. And for that, we are using renewable energy. Why we are using renewable energy? Because thanks to renewable energy, we had a real decrease of the price of the cubic meter. I can tell you now, the price of cubic meter in Morocco is no more than 40 cents of dollars. And of course, it's very important for drinking water, but also what we are doing is we are using also desalination for agriculture sector. And thanks to that, we will have 500 million cubic meters used by the agriculture sector to irrigate 1,000 hectares. And we just signed an agreement with Egypt to share our experiences and to also have their experience on treatment of water. And we just did it this morning. And we had the opportunity to have the minister with us before leaving Dubai to Cairo. And I have also to talk about other important thing is, of course, the treated wastewater use for watering the green spaces and for industrial purposes, but also for agriculture sector, thanks to experience of Egypt. Last but not least, we have also a third pillar, who is the water demand management. It's very important because at the end, we are losing a lot of water. And we are losing between 30% to 50% of water. On agriculture sector, it's more than 50%. Because we have very the network is have been built on the 70s, and of course we have a lot of problem of rentability of these things. That's why we have to avoid the water waste by supporting this communication and also preparing all this and having a real efficiency of water supply networks. At the end, I would like also to say that to finance this model, we, of course, have the support of the budget, but also we have the support of the regions, because the regions are also involved and their interest to have water for their population and also for the agricultural sector or industrial sector. We have also the OCP, who is financing their own needs on water supply thanks to desalination and reuse for industry. And they are building for 560 million cubic meters on desalination for their own needs. And we have also the institutionals, the fund pensions involved on this project to finance these kinds of projects because it's rentable projects. And we have PPPs with the private sector involved in. And on this point, I have to say that on these months, His Majesty the King and the head of state of United Arab Emirates signs a strategic partnership. And on this strategic partnership, they will invest on desalination plant in Morocco. And of course, we have the help of, as you said, the adaptation funds also. At the end, I would like to say here that all what we did in Morocco, we are ready, of course, to share it with African countries and sub-Saharan African countries. And we consider that it's very important to have, to be involved on these points. And it's first important to work together, to advocate together for greater allocation of climate funds for water sectors. Why? Because water sectors had metrics. Then we can know exactly the impact on climate change and on the effect of climate change. The second thing, we think that it's also important to seize this occasion to salute the initiative we launched with the African Union and Global Water Partnership for the preparation of readiness for the Africa Union multi-country program in order to accelerate readiness for water and climate resilience investments. And Morocco is very committed with you on this very important project for the future. And I would like also to insist that all these efforts should be accompanied by strengthening the capacities of governments, but also communities to develop sustainable and particularly bankable projects to finance resilience. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Beautiful to hear from Honorable Niza Baraka, the Minister of Hydraulics and Sanitation. I think you've heard it for yourself. The experience is there, the commitment is there to also share experiences. And the Honorable Minister, as you were speaking, I kept thinking, I wish I could call South Africa right now to come as well, because some of the challenges that you are facing and how you have handled them, I know the Republic of South Africa are also trying to deal with some of those issues in their own way, but they'll come in later. So thank you very much, and so for confirmation of your leadership on the African Union multi-country program. And so before I invite our next speaker, I just want to say that often when we talk about South-South sharing of experiences, or North-South, sometimes we hear from countries, no, but they're not like us. They're different from us. No, we cannot invite Asia. The Asian, Malaysia, Indonesia, they went through a different process. No, not North America. No, not Canada. No, not Argentina. Not Morocco. So we've realized that sometimes we have to share and help countries to meet, to create a platform where they can see which countries relate to each other in terms of experiences. Morocco is a middle income country in North Africa, well advanced. As part of the African Union multi-country RED program, we've also reached out to one of our leaders on the continent, the Republic of Somalia, that is going through a situation of nation building and fantastic things are happening there, although I know many people are not yet and they have still not heard about what's going on. Somalia has also provided a commitment and leadership to say we are going to join forces with Morocco so that other countries that are coming in transition, post-conflict countries that are not like Morocco, maybe they can see themselves in us, as Somalia, that how are we doing things in Somalia despite all the challenges. So we have that commitment as well from the federal government of Somalia to provide leadership on this initiative. So with that, it is my honor to now invite the Honorable Minister from Somalia, who is also just going to give us a few words about the work that they are doing in the Republic of Federal Somalia. Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Alex. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very blessed and honored to be here today in this important event. Water is a human right. It crosses borders and nourishes life. It brings well-being to all. Water security is the most overarching goal for development in our country. While we cannot escape the arid conditions that define our context and many upcoming and linked challenges into the climate change and population growth and high dependence on imported food. In the face of escalating climate change, Somalia finds itself oscillating between prolonged and lethal droughts to sudden and intense flooding. Currently, heavy rainfall and flooding El Nino has leading devastating, especially in riverine areas, caused a massive flood affected most part of the country. An estimated of 1.5 million people are affected to face a diverse impact from El Nino raining. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, to promote investments in Somalia's sustainable climate-sensitive water infrastructure is one of the governmental top priorities. With support from the international partners, this focus will continue and grow in importance in coming years. The challenges that are linked into the water are many, but will be addressed in coordination and structural way and providing opportunities with an investment priorities. A recent study with the support by the Norwegian government shows the presence of substantial water reserves in deep aquifers across Somalia. If extracted sustainably, these deep aquifers have the potential to consistently meet our water demands, interactive of the current climatic volatility. Recognizing crucial importance of this discovery, the Ministry of Energy and Water Resources is putting efforts to tap into this deep groundwater reserve. We extend an invitation to the international partners to channel their support towards this transformative solution, investing in the sustainable extractive of deep groundwater can help develop our water security and insulate our communities from the adverse impacts of climate change. Thank you all again for your invitation in this session. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Jama Taka, Minister of Energy and Water Resources from Somalia, and we thank you for the leadership. And now we move out of Africa. As we said, we'll be very lucky to also get experience from somewhere outside the continent. It is my honor to invite the Honorable Malcolm Stufukens, Deputy Minister for Energy and Natural Resources, all the way from Central America, Honduras. Thank you.
Buenas tardes, mucho gusto. Gracias. They don't want me to speak Spanish, but it's okay. No, thank you for the space. Thank you for the invitation. When I saw the invitation and I saw everybody who was going to be here, I said, yeah, of course I'll be there, because somebody from Latin America has to be there also. I believe a lot on what was said right now, that the South-South has to really unite more. There's a lot of things in common, although a lot of kilometers and miles separate us, but there's a lot of things in common. Especially in 1 or 2 days ago, we were talking about drought and the drought initiative that Spain and Senegal has been moving forward. Honduras and Latin America has been very keen onto working on this, because it's sometimes we haven't been talking enough of what has been happening in Honduras, and part of the problem is that we still accept that term of slow onset, and maybe that's the problem, accepting a term that is not a real term. It's not a real term in the context of all the world, and especially talking about Latin America, where we have a dry corridor that only in Honduras it has 127 municipalities affected by drought and desertification. So talking about water is so important for us. Although there's a lot of water that falls over Honduras, we're not doing the proper management of the water. We lose almost 91% of the water that falls over Honduras, goes from the mountains into the sea. And it's something that's not reasonable when we have huge areas with drought. The part where we call the dry corridor sometimes gets flooded also. But the rest of the year, we don't have anything. So there's something that is not making sense. And of course, it's because we have enough rainfall. We've never been keen into investing also in water management. And now when we have the problems on top is when we start seeing how to survive. Honduras has a law and a regulation since 1945 on water management. 0.01 lempiras, and 1 lempira is $24. 24 lempiras makes $1. And 0.1 cent of a lempira is what officially costs a cubic meter of water in Honduras. That is nothing. We haven't been investing properly because we haven't given it the right value of water also. So that's why we're losing everything. We haven't invested properly in water. And so now we have to start talking about adaptation. And of course, adaptation, sadly, and I say it sadly, one day we're almost about to finish the COP. And sadly, adaptation isn't a priority. And it's not being a priority, and we're still fighting it in not being a priority. I hope something comes out on the GGA and the global goal on adaptation, and something of finance comes up there also. But it's not being a priority. And that also is being reflected in our countries. And that's something that we have to change. We have to fight against changing this law, changing these regulations, although we have a big wall against us, and it's the privatization of the water. In our countries, in Latin America, the privatization of the water is something really strong, that we have to work with them and at the same time against them. Although all the investment that we should be doing in water shouldn't be all public, because it should be also private, but we have to be very careful on the thin line between working with the private sector and not giving them ideas that the privatization can come in through the water. It's important to invest in water. What is Honduras doing right now? Because we're losing 91% of that water that falls on, now we have to start constructing and building all these dams for regulation, for risk management, but also to have water for food security and for home consumption also, because we're having huge problems with that. So what has Honduras been doing now? Yes, we have to build all these, but this means a huge debts also, right? For our countries, building all this infrastructure takes in a lot of debt. So we are working in a national plan where all the territorial planning goes around how we have to be managing the watersheds, all our watersheds, and working very closely on empowering the local governments in how to use water, using different instruments and financial instruments, and that is something that brings us to where we are here. What financial instruments can we be implementing and also receiving to be able to build these dams that we so much need for better water management, or those multifunctional reservoirs for our country? Honduras is a forestry vocation land. 56% of our territory is still covered in forests. So, of course, that is one of our alternatives. We always say, and it's something that we come to say here, is that our forest is an alternative for the development of our countries. And that is also why here we say that we are keen to keep fighting and the recognition of forest as one of the best activities to keep 1.5 alive. But we have to recognize also the countries that have forests and get this payment based on results, so we can reinvest in water management and also assure the food security in our lands. At the same time, we also are looking how to build the financial instruments nationally, but also in the international banking and the multilateral banking that are aligned with the policies that the country has. Why do we say this? Because of this big opportunity that Honduras has, having so much water flowing down, there are certain investments that then become a little bit dangerous also for our country. Some hydroelectric power plants where we have more problematics and social impacts than what they should be implementing. So Honduras now is open to receive financial support for investing in water management, only if it's always thinking on a construction of multifunctional reservoirs, where we can assure risk management, food security, and water consumption. So, talking about the opportunity of being here and talking with friends from another continent is also saying that we've copied some things of what you've done in Africa also, because of the realities of what the context and realities of our countries are, is something that you are some steps in front of us. So this is something that we talked a lot with in GWP in Honduras, the South-South collaboration that we should be having, and how also to have more access to finance without our countries falling into this perverse cycle of debt. So thank you for the opportunity, and I would be very glad that each time we can reach out, brother and sister countries, to better off this knowledge and this investment for our people. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Malcolm. Really wonderful to hear from another continent facing similar challenges. Water is a local problem with often local solutions, but the interventions are often similar and global. I'm being requested to go for a group photo, but I would really like, if it's possible, Honorable Minister, I would like you to listen to this case study, because these countries are doing amazing work. represented by the Director General of the Department of Water Affairs and Sanitation, Honorable Musunzu Mchunu, Honorable Minister. I would like to invite the DG to just spend a few words about what South Africa is doing in terms of this challenge of water management. Director General, you have the floor. And then we'll have a group photo afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alex. Good afternoon, Your Excellencies, colleagues. I do have a presentation. Is it going to come up? Okay, thank you. Next slide, please. Okay, thank you. So in South Africa, we basically have national responsibilities for water and municipal responsibilities. The municipalities are responsible for delivering water services. And as a general principle, in the whole fiscal system of the country, water should be financially self-sustaining. So investment in water should be funded from the sale of water. But we do have some government subsidies for what we call social water, which is water being provided to people who can't afford to pay for it. And we have that the municipalities get a share of nationally raised taxes to enable them to provide free water to the indigent. There's also infrastructure grants to municipalities, which is funded by national taxes. And then we have a special budget allocation for large projects, which departments can apply for, and where there's a preference given where those projects are of a blended finance nature. In other words, they're a mix of social and economic, and they can at least partially be funded for by finance raised from the private sector. Next slide, please. And we've created an institution called the Infrastructure Fund. It's not actually a fund, it's an institution, but its job is to help government bodies to package these blended finance projects, which are a mix of some contribution from government and private sector finance and sometimes development finance. What we find is that almost all of our institutions don't have the knowledge or the ability to structure such projects. You have to have this central organization which is able to support and assist government bodies to put together projects for blended finance. Our emphasis now is moving more towards financing new big infrastructure projects at municipal level, because we can't really build many more dams. We've already captured 75% of the available surface water resources. We have to diversify the water mix. We have to make more use of things like groundwater, seawater desalination in our coastal cities, and water reuse. And all of those things are local rather than big dams which can be built nationally. So it's going to be up to municipalities to raise the finance for that investment in new water resource infrastructure in these diversified areas. So we've also put together another institution to provide similar support to municipalities to put together these blended finance or projects funded by private sector finance in the form of public-private partnerships. In that area, we're not doing so well. There hasn't been much traction. We need to deal with some regulatory issues to make more progress. Next slide, please. This slide just provides some of the examples of the more successful projects that we put together as blended finance projects or as projects financed completely by the markets. For example, you might have heard of Lesotho Highlands project, which is now in phase 2. It's completely financed by money raised in the markets from pension funds and banks in South Africa. We have quite deep existing financial markets in the country, and we can raise finance there. They're keen to invest in public infrastructure. Then we have some partnerships for national projects, which are collaborations with industries such as mining and commercial agriculture. And then we have some very interesting blended finance projects, which consist of, even with the National Treasury making a grant and giving a loan, and the rest raised by private sector finance. And these have been successfully facilitated by this special unit, the Infrastructure Fund, which has been put together to help package these projects. Our biggest challenge now is at the municipal level. That's where most of the investment needs to happen, and that's where we have problems in terms of institutions which are not functioning so well. So our biggest priority is to get the institutions functioning better at municipal level. If we can get the institutions functioning better and better governed, then the rest will follow. At the moment, we're struggling to get sufficient investment in the municipal infrastructure because the institutions are not well governed and they are not well managed. So some statistics to illustrate how they're not well managed. In 10 years, our non-revenue water at municipal level has risen from 37% to 47%. Our physical losses in our municipal distribution systems have increased from 28% to 38%. The Deputy Minister from Honduras was saying that a lot of your water goes into the sea. 40% of our water goes into the ground through leaks in municipal pipes. Doesn't even get anywhere near the sea. It just goes, we invest a huge amount of water in dams to store it. We then invest a huge amount more in treatment plants to treat it. Then it gets supplied to the municipalities, and the municipalities immediately put 40% of it into the ground through leaks. So this is threatening the financial viability of the whole water value system, because obviously you can't get any revenue 40%, on that 40% of water which is going into the ground. And that means that we can't pay off the loans that were used to build the dams, etc., etc. So at the moment, our major focus is on reform of municipal water services, trying to address this problem with institutions and governance at municipal level. In that regard, we're learning from some other African countries. We're learning from Uganda and Zambia in particular, where they've had a process of moving away from the kind of approach we have now, which is water services being run directly by municipal departments with a high level of local councillor involvement in the day-to-day operations, more towards a professional utility model, more of an arm's length from the political municipal leadership. So we're also starting to move in that direction now. If we can sort out our institutional matters, then we think the finances will follow. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Director General Fritz, much appreciated. So we have one more case study from the United Republic of Tanzania. One more case study, and then we'll have closing remarks and reflections from the co-chair of the International High-Level Panel, the Republic of Senegal. Tanzania. Honorable Minister, Representative, the Permanent Secretary who is here, may you kindly take the floor to talk about how you are intervening to solve these challenges around water, climate resilience. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I wish to thank you for the invitation extended to Tanzania to speak in this meeting on Tanzania Water Investment Program, which is a program from 2024 to 2030. I wish to register that I'm stepping in on behalf of Honorable Juma Hamidu Aweso, Member of Parliament and Minister for Water, Tanzania. Therefore, I'm reading his statement. Excellencies, first and foremost, I wish to bring you greetings and best wishes from Her Excellency, Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, President of the United Republic of Tanzania, who is #1 champion of water agenda in the country. She has raised the agenda of water affairs to the highest level. Excellencies, Tanzania aspires to increasing water coverage to 85% in rural areas and 95% in urban areas by 2025. Meanwhile, the progress against the target stand at 78% for rural and 88% for urban. The achievement indicates that there is a good progress, but much needed to be done. We have a video that will be projected that will narrate the Tanzania Investment Water Program, which is at the very final stages of preparation. The video will indicate the scope and ideas in the Tanzania Water Investment Program, which will focus in 4 areas: investment for social well-being, investment for sustainable economic development, investment for strengthening water governance and institution, and water investment for climate resilient and disaster management, and also try to narrate how this financing will be provided from various donors, including domestic revenue, multilateral financial institution and development partners, private sector through PPP and bonds, climate financing, CSO, NGOs, and CBOSOs, and official development assistance. Therefore, my statement is not about repeating the narration that will be shown in the video, but emphasizing what is required to have the program actioned on the ground with vivid output and impact. In that context, I have 2 things to share with you, and I appeal to your good offices and the international community to team up with Tanzania to have them done. First of all is we have these plans that is in Tanzania Investment Water Program. We need a preparation of bankable water climate projects. The 7 years Tanzania Water Investment Program has a good number of projects that range from water, climate, energy, irrigation, and environmental sectors. Those projects need to be prepared with the proper designing, packaging, and marketing. Preparing those projects to the ready to financing level require dedicated efforts and capacity. Therefore, we bank on you and we invite you to complement national efforts in preparing projects that meet the maximum requirement of financiers. We need that partnership with the international community, and I hope to go home with commitment from some of you. Second is the resources mobilization for implementing the project. Excellencies, having good project prepared is one thing, getting the project implemented is completely another thing. Hence, we needed to mobilize financial resources for the Tanzania Water Investment Program. The TANWIP foresees to be funded through, as I said earlier, government, domestic revenue, development partners, climate fund, private sector, CSO, and NGO. This blending is very high, much in line with the theme of the day, transformative climate finance. Anybody in this session falls in one of the group I have mentioned there for Tanzania banks on you in mobilizing resources to fund the TANWIP. Excellence, in the spirit of resource mobilization, I wish to inform you that Tanzania has the National Water Fund that implement water projects. There are also other related funds like Tanzania Forestry Fund. Since the agenda of the day is transformative climate finance, and in this session we are discussing financing sources, opportunities, and partnership, I wish to extend our invitation to you to work with Tanzania National Water Fund to enhance implementation of water and climate projects. Excellencies, I wish further to inform you that Tanzania is reviewing the water policy and strategic plan. 2 areas that have been emphasized are the role of participation of the private sector and resource mobilization. You are welcome to use that opportunity and partner with the Tanzanian water sector. Excellencies, as I wind up my speech, I want to emphasize that preparation of bankable projects will be conducted under the TANWIP implementation strategy, and mobilizing resources will be implemented through a resource mobilization strategy. Thank you very much.
Very, very refreshing. I feel like going to Tanzania. And the beautiful thing, by coincidence, I'm jumping on a flight tomorrow to go to Dar es Salaam. Obrigado. So thank you very much for that. Very inspiring, and we look forward to this, the launch of this investment program. We are reliably informed that Her Excellency Samia Suluhu, the President of Tanzania, will be launching this program, and we'll be very happy to come and witness this beautiful event. So we have about 20 minutes to go now, and we're very grateful that before we have the official close from the Republic of Senegal, who is the chair of the high-level panel, I would like to invite the government of Uganda. The government of Uganda has very recently communicated to the African Union that they are embarking on developing the Uganda Water Investment Program. So we're very grateful and looking forward to work with them and support them. It is now my pleasure to invite the director, Joseph Alelu, from the ministry, to come and say a few words in terms of what they're planning, and then the Republic of Senegal can close. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon to you all. Oh, good evening. I'm Joseph here, Lule. I coordinate climate financing in the ministry, and I was meant to be my minister here. And unfortunately, she could not be here because she had other engagements with the ambassador. What is Uganda doing in terms of water? And what are our plans? We're looking at a comprehensive water management systems. One, looking at water resources management, water development, looking at potable water, water for people, irrigation as one of the other areas which has become so central to our area. We are being faced by expanding desertifications, especially in the area that we call the Cattle Corridor. We are looking at investing heavily in this area because we need to sustain livelihoods in the area, but we're also faced with challenges of reducing or dwindling groundwater. What is happening? I'm happy that South Africa is trying to pick lessons from us, especially in the area of utility management. We had to decentralize utility management and set up what we call umbrella authorities, whereas we have the National Water Corporation managing the wider services of water, but that does mostly in the major cities. When we try to do it countrywide, the cost of water is rising high because some management zones, some towns were not yet at a level that was bankable enough to manage the cost of water, for people to pay water. So someone had to take on to baby these small towns to the level where they could actually pay for water. So we're forced to create what we called umbrella authorities, and these are trying to manage the small groups of water people, piped water, to actually make it commercial. We've developed an investment plan from which we want to improve so that we link to the Africa Water Investment Plan. When that is ready, we hope to be able to be in sync with the African Union vision, and we really seek your support and partnerships so that we expand water. Coverage has increased in urban centers to around 80%, though coverage in the rural settings still remains low. Our target by the 2025 was to have 100% coverage in urban centers, but because of changing statistics, changing demographies, and matters climate change, poverty, and other issues, we are stagnating somewhere. We are happy to learn from our partners, our colleagues, neighbors, Tanzania, South Africa. We have a lot also to learn from you. And with the support of the different funders, or partners, the GCF, we hope to bridge these gaps. And I thank you very much.
Thank you, Joseph, for also communicating in front of South Africa about the opportunity for continuous learning and exchange. We have now come to the closing segment of this high-level session. It is now my pleasure to invite, as has been mentioned many, many times, Green Climate Fund, Green Climate Fund, Green Climate Fund, and Green Climate Fund has been listening all along from the beginning. They've been in the room. I would like to invite the representative of the Deputy Executive Director of the Green Climate Fund to come and deliver a statement. Their perspective, you've seen what's going on with and all the work that you're doing. It is my pleasure to offer you the floor before we can officially close. Thank you.
Good evening, all. I think what a day actually we passed from morning, and also the commitment from our ministers and good case study. I think one of the case study that we listened from South Africa, and I think that's the biggest chunk of project we designed with the DBSA, a $1.5 billion project in one single country, and which demonstrate that public and private engagement and also the blended financing opportunity. Plus the example, the vision that actually Tanzania just laid together, it is a good lessons for us, good examples, good practices, but I think now we need to actually put this all commitment together into an action, how actually you can create a bankable project. And that's maybe the GCF's strategy in the water sector. We lay out a very strong strategy for water sector. We also try to look at the need by the globally for water sector is $120 billion is actually needed for, making the SDG 6 to be, achieved. But then we alone don't have that money. Nobody has that money unless we actually work together, bringing private sector in. And let's work together to make that happen. We already invested $3.5 billion in the market in the water sector alone. And there is actually right now $2.5 billion project. But not all the project is actually quite well structured. Innovation has been bring, and that's maybe the reason some projects are actually delaying or sitting even maybe 3 to 5 years. It's not progressing. So as we are progressing and learning, let's work together. And Africa is obviously one of the most vulnerable and most needed actually country from GCF point of view, Sub-Saharan Africa, SEEDS countries. So we like to actually package more water-related project in those countries. And as well as the NAP has been already identified, water is actually one of the top priority through the NDC. So let's work together to how we can access differential climate financing. It's not only just GCF. We also actually laid out the first example in Uganda, a joint programming with JEF and GCF. And we also have an upscaling framework from adaptation finance to GCF. So these are the opportunity that whatever the small piloting actually you're implementing, how that could be upscaled through the GCF financing. Or together we can actually design, because there are pocket of money left over from LDCF and other finance, how we can actually tap those money together and create a larger project. GCF finance always require a blended financing or a co-financing. I think these are the opportunities that we should actually as a country, we should actually lead. And if you need any support, we are always actually here to support you, to guide you, to design and co-design space. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Green Climate Fund, for those words of encouragement in terms of the opportunity and also recognition to the countries. It is now my pleasure to invite the leader of the high-level panel. They launched it, they came up with the idea, they hosted the World Water Forum, and they're now leading us in preparation for the next World Water Forum in Indonesia. Dr. Muhammad Diatta, to come and kindly close this high-level session. And from my side, this is where my job ends. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you very much for your leadership. Thank you for the way that you guide also our work during these years. Thanks also for all the work that has been done by your secretariat, by His Excellency President Kikwete, and all leaders and country leaders who are contributing in this report. And thanks for the quality of the report and the recommendation from this report. I would like to thank also the presence of Dr. Tahani, AMCAO TAC Chair. We know that AMCAO is a leading political entity for Africa, and thank for the work that AMCAO is doing for encouraging African country to make water a global priority in our continent. And for many years, we saw that at the COPs, water is in the periphery of the negotiations. And we cannot talk about climate change without talking about water. And thanks to the government of Egypt last year in Sharm el-Sheikh for having the great idea for having a water pavilion, and for also launching the AWARE initiative. This is the most important initiative regarding water and climate change. And we are working with Egypt to see how we can involve more partners to be part of the AWARE initiative. And I invite all organizations here to support this initiative. It's very important for us. And Africa is a fragile continent due to climate change. And Senegal also is facing the same context of climate change crisis. And we are working in Senegal on 4 levers of action. The first lever is the nature-based solutions. We are depending on surface water and groundwater, and now today we have to restore and protect this fresh water. It's very important. The second lever is the unconventional water mobilization. We are working on the desalination plan. We are under construction 2 desalination plan for Dakar area. The third lever of action is a circular economic approach for sanitations. How we can reuse water for agriculture. How we can also use the gas as energy for our plants. And the fourth lever of action is about innovating financement. It's where we find on our roads IEP, where President Macky Sall and President Kikwete met in Dakar at the 9th World Water Forum and launched the African Investment Program. And at Sharm el-Sheikh, the first meeting of head of states regarding IEP. And here in Dubai, we launched the IEP action plan on water for Africa. I think that COPs are our partners also, and thank you very much, Alex, for this work that has been done. And I would like to invite all African member states here to contribute to prepare projects and to submit projects to the Secretariat and to the African Union. And we must go further regarding investment aspects, because in Africa we are lack of water infrastructure. And the IAP is one of the tools where African Union can base for having a good access to water and sanitation for Africa. Thank you for contributing to this high-level meeting. We know that schedules are very busy, but thank you very much and safe return. Thank you very much.